Have you ever just stopped and wondered, why are we good? I mean, really thought about it? We're always told that evolution is this brutal dog-eat-dog competition, a constant struggle for survival. So in a world like that, where does something like kindness even come from? Or trust? Or generosity? It's a huge puzzle, and it gets right to the very core of who we are. So today, let's try and piece it together. Right, this is the central paradox we're going to unpack. If life is fundamentally just a contest of selfish individuals, what you'd call a zero-sum game, then our entire society, which is built on these massive, incredible acts of cooperation, seems like it should be totally impossible. And yet, here we are. This question drove thinkers crazy for centuries, but the answer, it turns out, is a lot more surprising and, frankly, a lot more hopeful than you might think. So one of the first people to offer a really radical answer was, of all people, a Russian anarchist prince named Peter Kropotkin. He looked at that popular idea of survival of the fittest and basically said, hey, wait a minute, you're missing half the story here. He argued that the truly fittest species aren't the most aggressive individuals, they're the most cooperative groups. Now, for Kropotkin, this wasn't just some abstract theory he cooked up in a library. Nope, it was born from his own incredible experience. During his own dramatic prison break, everything had to be perfect. A violin signal at just the right moment, friends distracting the guards, a getaway carriage waiting. His freedom depended completely on the selfless, precise, mutual aid of his allies. And that planted a seed for this revolutionary idea. Cooperation isn't some weird exception to the rule of nature. It is the rule. But to really understand Kropotkin's insight, we have to take a pretty strange detour into the world of selfishness. I know, it sounds like a total paradox, but modern biology has shown that the path to virtue actually starts with the cold, hard logic of self-interest. The huge breakthrough came in the 20th century with a theory of the selfish gene, and it completely flipped the script. See, we used to think that animals did things for the good of their species, but the new idea, which is held up under a ton of scrutiny, is that organisms, you, me, every living thing, we're just vehicles. The real players in this whole game of evolution are our genes, and each one is selfishly trying to get itself copied into the next generation. Matt Ridley, the author of our source material, explains it perfectly. He says we consistently do things that benefit our genes, because we're all inevitably descended from those that did the same. The key takeaway here is that any behavior we see all around us today, and that includes cooperation, it must have, in some way, helped the genes of our ancestors survive and reproduce. I love this analogy of a parliament of genes. It just makes so much sense. Imagine every single gene you have is a politician, just looking out for its own selfish interests. Now, they might argue and fight over little things, but they all have one massive shared interest: keeping the country, which is you, your body, from collapsing. So out of all that microscopic selfishness, this incredible harmony just emerges, because cooperation is the absolute best way for them to ensure their collective survival. Okay, so if our genes are building us to be these, selfish cooperators, what does that actually look like in our day-to-day lives? How does it all play out? Well, the answer, surprisingly, is found in the logic of game theory. And the classic model for this is the prisoner's dilemma. The setup is pretty simple. Two partners in crime get caught. They're put in separate cells so they can't talk to each other. Then the prosecutor comes to each of them and offers them a deal. And the choices they make are going to determine their fate. So let's break down how the choices shake out. If you both stay silent, you cooperate with each other, you both get a light sentence. Just 1 year. Not too bad. But here's the temptation. If your partner stays silent and you betray them, you walk free. And what if they betray you? Well, then you're still better off betraying them too, so you only get 5 years instead of 10. So no matter what the other person does, it seems like your best individual move is always to betray them. And that's the dilemma. Two perfectly rational people, just acting in their own self-interest, will both choose to betray each other, and they end up with a worse outcome than if they just trusted each other in the first place. If this is the cold, hard logic of life, our world should be a constant mess of mutual betrayal. So why isn't it? And here it is, the simple, beautiful answer. Life isn't a one-shot game. We interact with the same people again and again and again. Your colleagues, your family, your friends, the person you buy your coffee from every morning. The shadow of the future, as they say, changes everything. Your reputation suddenly starts to matter. A lot. So back in the 1980s,
A political scientist named Robert Axelrod ran a computer tournament to find the absolute best strategy for this repeated prisoner's dilemma. And the winner wasn't some super complex predatory program. Nope. It was the simplest one submitted, a little strategy called tit for tat. Its rules are so straightforward. First, it's nice. It always starts by cooperating. Second, it's retaliatory. It can't be taken for a fool. And third, it's forgiving. It's quick to let bygones be bygones. It's basically a strategy of conditional kindness. And tit for tat isn't just computer code. You see this logic everywhere in the natural world. Vampire bats are way more likely to share a life-saving meal of blood with a bat that has helped them out before. Soldiers in the trenches of World War I developed these informal truces. If you don't shoot at us, we won't shoot at you. It's the simple, powerful logic of reciprocity in action. So, this logic of reciprocity explains cooperation between two individuals. But how does that scale up to create entire societies? Well, it turns out that trade and the division of labor basically transform all of society into one massive cooperative win-win game. Adam Smith absolutely nailed this way back in 1776. The butcher doesn't give you meat because he loves you. He does it because he wants your money. And you give him money because you want his meat. It's a simple transaction based on mutual self-interest, but it leads to this beautiful cooperative outcome where you both get exactly what you want. This is what turns life from a zero-sum game, like a tennis match, where for me to win, you have to lose, into a non-zero-sum game. And in a non-zero-sum game, we can both win. My success doesn't have to come at your expense. In fact, by cooperating, we can both end up way better off. And the division of labor is the ultimate engine for this. Think about it. When one person specializes in making bread and another specializes in raising cattle, and then they trade with each other, they create so much more wealth and well-being than if they both tried to do everything themselves. Society becomes this huge, sprawling network of reciprocal exchange, a win-win game on a massive scale. But here's the final and maybe the most crucial piece of the whole puzzle. We are not just cold, rational calculators running tit for tat in our heads. No way. Evolution has shaped us to feel our way through this cooperative game. Our morality isn't some thin veneer we put on top of a nasty, selfish core. It's an instinct. Economists like Robert Frank call our emotions commitment devices. How can I possibly trust that you'll cooperate with me? Well, because I can see you blush with shame, or I can feel the warmth of your genuine affection, or I can sense your outrage when something is unfair. These emotions are honest signals that literally commit us to cooperation, and they're what make us trustworthy partners in the first place. Just think about it for a second. Guilt? That's the internal alarm bell that stops us from cheating on our allies. Love? That's the powerful glue that commits us to these long-term, mutually supportive relationships. A sense of fairness? That's what drives us to play the game in a way that benefits everyone. These aren't irrational feelings. They are highly tuned evolutionary tools for living in a complex social world. So, all of this gives us a much more optimistic view of human nature than the old one from philosophers like Thomas Hobbes. He thought we needed a powerful government to keep our nasty, brutish instincts in check. The modern evolutionary view is the complete opposite. Society isn't something that's forced on us to keep us in line. It's something that springs naturally from within us. And the crucial point is this. Our ability to create a good society isn't something we have to learn from scratch. The building blocks, our instincts for reciprocity, for trust, for fairness, they're a part of our evolved nature. They are right there in our heads, just waiting for us to use them. And that leaves us with a final, really powerful thought. If our virtues are these ancient instincts, deeply wired into our genes and our emotions, then the big question for us today is this. Are the institutions we're building, our governments, our companies, our online communities, are they creating environments where these cooperative instincts can actually flourish? Or are they stifling the very best parts of our nature? That's something we're thinking about.